In Blender cycles, a glass BSDF gives us a very perfect glass. But in Eevee, it may be difficult to achieve the same result. In this tutorial, we will learn how to create a perfect glass material like this in Eevee, with much lesser render time. Let us first delete this, or we can actually open a fresh new file. We have already created a floor and two objects here, so that we can see the actual background through the glass. Otherwise it will be all just gray everywhere. Now, we will add one object. We can add any object. Let us take one monkey. Then resize it and reposition it as needed. To add a glass material to it, go to the Materials tab and create a new material. By default, we get a principled BSDF. We can also use a glass BSDF. We will see that later. Let us now use the principled BSDF only. We can convert it into a glass material with one single change. Just increase this transmission value to 1, so that it gets transparent. But it looks gray because we are yet to change two more settings. First, on the Materials tab, enable this screen space refraction. Then go to the Render tab and enable this screen space reflections. Then expand this and enable refraction. And boom! We have got a glass material. This is quite nice, and also it renders quickly. But there are a couple of problems. First, this material is little hazy. It is like a smoked glass. We got to fix that in the Materials tab. You can see a field called Roughness. Change it to 0, and you get a clear glass. However, there is still a difference of color between the background color and the color we see on the glass. That is because in the base color, by default Blender uses a value of 0.9. Change it to 1, and you get a glass which is fully transparent. Although, I found that a roughness of 0.1 may be little more realistic, as a glass in reality may not be always 100% transparent. Anyway, we created this material using principled BSDF. We can also use a glass BSDF. It has a color and roughness input, and it gives a similar glass material. But the biggest problem with our glass is this shadow. A real glass does not cast such a thick shadow. It creates a faint shadow along the borderline, and rest is almost transparent. We cannot fix this with a glass BSDF right now in Eevee, so we must use a principled BSDF only. Let us change the transmission back to 1. We can then control this shadow by changing this alpha value of the principled shader. But to use this alpha value, you need to first change the shadow mode of this material from opaque to alpha clip. Leave the threshold value as it is. Now, if you enter an alpha value less than the threshold, say 0.4, the shadow disappears immediately. And any value in alpha, above the threshold, will bring back a thick shadow. But this is not what we want. We want the shadow to appear very faint throughout the outline. We cannot achieve that just using this one shader. We need to use a node tree. But before that, let us create another object here, maybe a real glass, so that we can test our node tree on two different objects. Here glass means not just a glass material, I mean a cup or a glass, like a glass of water. First, go to Add, then Mesh, and then add a circle. Then open this operator box, and change the vertices to 128. And the radius to 2, so that we get a bigger circle. We should actually hide this floor for the time being, so that we can see our circle clearly. Now, go to the Edit mode. With all the vertices selected, press E on your keyboard to extrude, then press Z to lock it along the Z-axis, and extrude it like this. Then again, press S to resize, and move your mouse to give it a slant figure, to outside, almost like a glass. Perfect. Now turn on the face selection mode, and press A to select all the faces. Then, go to the face menu and select Extrude Faces along normals. Move your mouse slowly, to create a thickness inside the glass. Not too thick, we need just a very small thickness. Now, turn on the edge selection mode and again press A to select all the edges, and select this bevel tool. Move this handle slightly. We can fine-tune the bevel from this operator box. Let us change the number of segments to 5. We are done. Let us go back to the object mode. We now got our glass almost ready, but we also need a base for it. We will quickly complete this so that we can focus on the material part. So hide this glass body, and add one more circle to create the glass base. Then go to the Edit mode. Let us switch over to the vertices selection. While all the vertices are selected, go to the vertex menu and select this option to create a new face. We got the face. Now press E on your keyboard to extrude it, Z to lock it in the Z axis, and extrude it just a bit. Then go back to the object mode. We got the base for our glass. Now unhide the glass body. While the base is selected, press the Shift key and select the glass body, so that both the objects are selected together. Then go to the object menu, and join them. So, this is our simple glass model. You can rename it to glass, if you like. Also, it is now time to bring back our floor which we were missing so far. To apply our glass material on this glass, in the Materials tab, open this drop-down and select the glass material we created earlier. The glass is looking quite nice with this. To take care of the shadow problem, we need to open a shader editor. So, split the screen into half. And open the shader editor on the left side. We can close this section. We have our principal BSDF here. I hope you remember that we have to play with this alpha value to create a faint shadow. So, from the input group, add a value node first. Change the value to 0. Then, press Shift D to duplicate it. And change this new value to 1. Now, to add these two nodes, go to Add menu, then Color, and then add a Mix RGB node. Change its type to Add. Then connect the two value nodes to its input side. We want to control the alpha between 0 and 1 depending on the object orientation, so add a layer weight node. Change the blend value to 0.15. And connect the Fresnel to the FAC input of the Add node. Finally, connect its output to the alpha node of our BSDF. Our node setup is now complete. We got the shadow problem resolved. You can see a faint and realistic shadow, now created by the glass. Just how it should be. For both the objects. You can control the intensity or thickness of this shadow, by just changing this blend value alone. I used two different objects for this example, because as you can see, the shadow intensity is different for them. While this amount of shadow looks perfect for the monkey, it is little extra thick for our glass. While a value of 0.15 is perfect for the glass, we need to change it for the monkey. So select the monkey and in the Materials tab, copy this material, to create a new, duplicate material. And just for this new copy, change the blend value to 0.3, which is perfect for the monkey. So the glass and the monkey both now have two different copies of the same material, and they both cast a perfect shadow, as a glass material should do. You can use a suitable blend value for your glass material, whatever looks best for your scene. So, this was a 2-in-1 tutorial where we covered how to create glass as a material, and how to create a glass as an object. We went little over 8 minutes. I usually try to keep these tutorials around 5 minutes long, but some topics do need a little more details and little more explanation. I hope you like this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel.